Hi guys, I'm James Gibson. I'm the PSNZ Counsellor for Membership, and I'm just going to walk you through a couple of options for resizing images for competition. I'm going to use Adobe Lightroom, which is my preferred method for exporting images. Then I'm going to show you how to do it in Photoshop for those of you who aren't Lightroom users. I'm sure all the other programs have similar ways of exporting images. I'm not familiar with those packages, but I'm sure Google will have answers for you if you need them. So let's get started. Here's a few images from the World of Wearable Arts workshop that we ran at the HUT 2019 convention recently. And I'm just going to work through how to export this one over here. This was shot in RAW. It's been edited in Photoshop a bit, so it's a pretty big file. The Canon Online image requirements are for 1620 by 1080 pixels, so that's 1620 width by 1080 high maximum in the sRGB color space. So to do that, Lightroom's pretty good at exporting different files. So all you have to do is right click on the image, you got export, and then export ... That brings up this dialog box with a whole lot of options. I'm going to export them to a specific folder, which for me is C processing. This is my default kind of dumping ground. It's a working folder for stuff that I'm using at the moment. I don't keep anything in it permanently. It's just a temporary holding place for images. The file settings should be 100% quality, sRGB color space. If you're printing, you might want to use Adobe RGB. That's pretty common for a lot of printers, but for digital we'll go sRGB. And I'm going to use this resize to fit width and height option. That's going to set the maximum width and height for an image. This one's already preset at the right dimension, 1620 by 1080. All you need to do is write them in. You can write anything you like. But we'll stick with 1620, 1080 pixels. I don't tend to sharpen my images. You might want to play around with that, see whether you like the output. And I include copyright only. I take all the metadata out of my images when I export them. So I could just hit export now. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to click add over here. And that's going to give me the option of creating a preset, which I'm going to call Canon Online Create. And that saves all of these settings for next time. So we'll hit export. So in my processing folder, we now have an unrenamed image, which is, if I go to the properties in this, 1443 by 1080. So it's maximized the height. The width is a little under, but it both fits within that 1620 by 1080 pixel size, and it's sRGB color space. So all that's left for me to do is to rename it. So F2 or right click rename, and we'll call this one Moana, which is the name of the model. And that's all there is to do. That image is now ready to be entered into a competition. Okay, so now I'm going to go through the same thing again using Photoshop. Now Photoshop CC has quite a nice export function nowadays. The old way that you would have to have done it in Photoshop would have been to go to image size, and then change these aspect ratios, which effectively is editing this image. So it's important to kind of keep a copy, otherwise you end up losing the original. Nowadays, there's a new function in the File menu called Export. You can now do Export As, and this is similar to the Lightroom export function. It doesn't appear to be quite as smart. So I've got this the second picture from the WOW shoot. Obviously it's portrait orientation, so my image aspect ratio maximum was 1620 by 1080. So obviously the width is going to be less than 1620. So if I write 1080 in here and press tab, for some reason it defaults to 1081. Now what I think it's doing is rounding up very slightly. So because the competition requires 1080 maximum, we're actually going to have to drop this down, and from memory 1078 is as small as I can go, or as large as I can go with this image. If I now hit export all, I can go back to my seed processing, and this time I get to rename it straight away. So we'll call this one Moana Portrait and hit save. And that's it, done. So there you go. I hope that makes sense. I hope that helps you resize your images for competition. It's reasonably straightforward, and obviously different competitions have different requirements for the image sizing, and you can create multiple export options in Lightroom to help speed that process up. For Canon Online, the image needs to be renamed with the title of the image only, so just the title, not with your initials or underscore small or anything else. But hopefully that helps, and it'll simplify the process for getting the competitions all sorted and help everyone along the way. Good luck. If you've got any suggestions for other things you might need help with, or things that we might be able to explain in a video, flick me an email. That would be great. Otherwise, good luck and enjoy your photography.